people of France rioting over celebration, and scientists are bringing out more information about the Bugsphere, and iPhone users experiencing severe security threats. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the strangest and more bizarre videos that I could find on TikTok. Let's get into it.
Looking at the streets of Paris right now, you'd think that PSG lost 5-0 last night. But no. This is how some fans celebrated the club winning the first Champions League in its history. Overwhelmed by happiness, I guess, they looted stores, destroyed bus stands, set fire to bins and vehicles, and then just left them burning in the streets. And of course, filled with joy, they set off fireworks and flares. But it gets worse. These celebrations weren't only limited to Paris. Disruptions and serious vandalism was reported across the country. A car plowed into PSG fans in Grenoble, leaving 4 injured. A 17-year-old boy was stabbed in the chest. 192 people were injured, including 22 police officers and 7 firefighters. Nearly 600 people were arrested, and 5,300 police had to be deployed using tear gas and water cannons to control the celebrations. Bro, 2 people died in all of this. Can someone explain France to me? Because winning has never looked so apocalyptic.
That's just crazy. There has to be something more going on than just a celebration for it to break out like that. That's just straight up rioting. I mean, congratulations on the first win, but dang.
Big issue for iPhone users happening right now. Yesterday, Apple issued a warning to all 1.8 billion iPhone users, so the chances are you're probably on one of their devices right now, as there is a large security threat and we are all being told to act now, so make sure you share this video with an iPhone user. You probably saw all the data breaches and stuff that happened last week, but it doesn't seem to end there because now we've got this. Long story short, there is a flaw on their systems which is enabling hackers to get your data and potentially get into your devices. The most serious data points and the reasons for concerns are these areas, such as being able to get into Bluetooth or iCloud. With some of these faults allowing hackers to essentially get into your iCloud folders or potentially even your phone through things like AirPlay if you're on the same Wi-Fi network. They have released iOS 18.5, which contains the bug fixes, so they're just saying to everybody, make sure you update your phone and change your passwords if you need to. But it's scary that this is in all the headlines and that one thing can just impact every single person who has an iPhone and leave all of our data at risk. Like, is that the world we're living in? Make sure you update your phone and share this with someone who needs to update theirs, and I'm sure it will all be fine, but I will keep you updated.
I mean, that is scary that there's such a risk out there of people potentially stealing your information. I have personally not received any warnings or anything like that because I do have an iPhone, but I do not really have an iCloud account, at least one that I don't keep active, and it's a totally separate email from my actual personal email because I never really planned on using an iCloud account. But with this, it also makes me kind of think, what if phone companies and other businesses are doing this kind of stuff or saying these things on purpose to make people update their devices? Because if you don't update it, you're potentially at a risk of having your information stolen or hacked into, which leads into some people that can't even update their devices because their devices are too old, meaning that their old devices are permanently locked at a risk because they're stuck on old software. Kind of forcing people to either upgrade their phones or move to something entirely different. I'm not saying that is what it is. I'm just saying that it makes me think that companies force these kind of updates and give us these alarms because they want us to be updated to the latest and greatest updates that has all the tracking information and everything to keep their eyes on you. Let me know what you guys think about all this.
A woman got an absolutely terrifying surprise when she decided to record while she was in the ER. She had been admitted into the ER and decided to record a quick video for her Snapchat. As she was turning the camera around, she caught this thing, and it was hovering over another patient in the ER. Here's the short little video, and I do have it slowed down so you can see it, but as it pans over, there's a solid black figure standing next to this man. I tried to stabilize it here, so it did kind of warp some stuff to stabilize the video better. This figure is solid black. It looks like it's wearing a solid black veil. It honestly looks like a Grim Reaper. And it's just standing at this man's bedside. And when you look closely at it, it almost looks like it has like a black haze around it. What do you guys think about this one? Is this thing here to reap the souls of the people in this emergency room, or what is this thing?
Well, if there's any place that you would see anything like that, I would think that it would be a hospital. Ghosts, spirits, or demons, I would think that if they're spiritually connected creatures, that hospitals would be where they're at, so you would probably see something like that. Now, is this a real video? That I don't know. It is kind of odd that there's a person randomly filming in the hospital like that, but it's the 21st century and people do that kind of thing, so it's hard to tell on that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that that was a real shadow figure, grim reaper, or evil spirit, or some kind of hoax? Because honestly, it's too blurry for me to tell. It looks kind of like a real video, but could just be someone standing there in a black outfit.
All right, so another rabbit hole for you if you haven't heard about it. So I heard that by placing a little sticker like this over the top of our cameras, it not only, blocks out the potential being filmed, like we've heard, like these lights stay on or whatever, but I've also heard that there's a flashing light that's so fast our eyes can't even detect it. But and it's having an effect, of course, on our circadian rhythms, like our sleep issues, or ADHD, all those kind of things, right, are being affected. But there's also like this thing that they're saying that there's an addictive quality that it's, forcing us to want to keep scrolling. So place a little sticker of your peephole, if you will, and let me know what happens.
Honestly, I think that that's a great idea. If you're not using your phone, you should have it completely covered. Just enough for where the camera and infrared sensors are just completely covered. And these little infrared beams of light that these phones produce when you're not even using it's crazy. Seeing videos of people using infrared cameras to record that is kind of scary looking, honestly. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel.
I am so excited about this video. This was actually captured by Colorado River Expedition around May 24th on the Colorado River. They were going up the river when they saw something that looks like a Bigfoot, and it was watching them. You can glimpse the actual creature in between the trees, and then it disappears. Is this real? That's really the question. Is this a real sighting of an actual Bigfoot? Because it is absolutely phenomenal. Take a look at this footage, comment below, tell me what you think.
What is it? That's really funny.
Now, I looked at this a couple of times and I'm pretty certain that this is a genuine video. I think the reactions of these people are genuine. I don't think that this is a hoax, like someone being in a suit and pretending to be Bigfoot. I think that that was probably a bear. At the very end, you can kind of see it go back down on all fours, but I think it was a bear on its hind legs just walking through the woods a little bit. Let me know what you guys think about this one.
I'm still debating on whether or not Nikola Tesla actually existed.
I've heard that theory too. I've heard a lot of people say that because the amount of patents that he filed in a very short amount of time, it was kind of inhuman.
Yeah, but there are other sort of stranger anomalies to Tesla. For example, he never had sex, so he has no offspring. There are no descendants from him. But he did have siblings. One died. His older brother died when he was younger. It fell off a horse. But I cannot find a single living descendant. And I've reached out. I contacted his museum. They said that they didn't know the whereabouts of any of his descendants. The other thing is that if you look for video footage of him, This is a pioneer of technology who gave public talks and lectures and allegedly wrote for journals and magazines. People would pay him to come to dinner if they were having a dinner party. Everybody wanted him. He was top of the list. But there's no video footage of him, yet there is of his rival Edison, and there also is of Einstein, who once famously said that if you want to know who the most intelligent man in the world is, you need to speak to Nikola Tesla. So you've got someone at really the forefront of technology, with no video footage and no living descendants, and just a handful of images. We always see the same ones of him over his entire lifespan. So I find that strange. And to do what, as you quite rightly said, achieve what he did in quite a short period of time is unusual.
I just kind of find it funny that this guy is trying to claim that Tesla never existed, but then goes to say that he had public speeches and people used to pay to have him over. I mean, there has to be some kind of documentation of that. I'm pretty certain that Nikola Tesla definitely existed. It actually never crossed my mind that it could be a theory that he never did, basically a made-up story of a person that had ups and downs with a sad end. It's actually kind of an interesting thought, but I don't buy it. I'm pretty certain Nikola Tesla is a real person and he got screwed over like everyone says that he did. But let me know, do you have any theories about this, or is this something that you actually believe Nikola Tesla never actually existed? This, like I said, that would be a new one to me. I've never heard of this one before.
What's up right now? And I mean really, what is up? We'll get to this in a minute because it has been seen all over the US and the world the last few days. But look at this image right here. You can see all the different things impeding our ability to see the sky. I showed you yesterday that all we saw was haze around everywhere. Couldn't see the sky at all. What you just saw wasn't the sun, but we'll get to it. What's the probability that this time of this great geomagnetic storm that has us all feeling really bad, what's the odds that we have Saharan dust coming in? We have the Canadian wildfire just pushing all this supposed smoke in the sky. And obviously we have the hurricane and all the other stuff. And I want you to take a special mention right here when I show you where the greatest tornado risks are, and I match it up with this Aurora map. I don't know, something seems like it's a little bit fishy right here. Now the video you see behind me is not relevant whatsoever. I just put it up there for your entertainment, for your attention while I speak for a second. It's weird because I've been trying to show you guys something the last few days and no one's seeming to get it. Now this setting right here was in Georgia. I showed you the one at the beginning of the video. We also have this one up here in UK. So tell me, what is this? This is not the sun because the sun was setting at the same time they took the video in the other video. So what is this? And funny enough, not related, people were actually seeing this the day before. Nah, it's not a lens flare. It's another object that creates its own lens flare. Some people out there will just unalive on a hill trying to make sense of things we can't make sense of. This was another image that was caught the day before. So yeah, all this stuff is very odd. Why can we not see the sky, or parts of the sky are covered with smoke and sand and you name it, while this crazy geomagnetic storm goes off and we have these sightings of this really weird red thing just hanging out in the sky. Anyways, if you get a camera, be ready to take some awesome pictures.
I just find it really funny that he said that that person will unalive himself on the hill. I think the quote is, "I'll die on that hill." There should be no wrong reason to say that quote. That just threw me off when he said that. And as far as the sun goes, I have personally not seen that sun, that little orange sphere. Well, actually, I have, but it was in the morning going to work, and the morning clouds kind of cover the sun up in the distance, and you can kind of see that silhouette just like that. But I don't think that that's the same sun that I've been seeing. I've been seeing just the normal sun. So let me know in the comments, have you guys been seeing two suns or whatever that object is? I personally think that it's just the sun, but other people may think differently, so let me know.
Well, here the hell we go. The university has put out their report and they have confirmed that there are optical fibers in the Bugsphere. This will be added to a playlist if you have no idea what I'm talking about. I know that's tiny and in Spanish. Figure 9 shows a high number of structures of different nature. From the form and chemical analysis, it can be inferred that they are optical fibers. And then it goes on to the numbers, so let's go to that. Line number 1. Possible area of optic fibers is 42%. Number of optical fibers, 52. The average diameter is 210 microns. The largest one is 350 and the smallest one is 40. Now for comparison, a human hair is 50 to 70. So the smallest is smaller than a human hair. Now, whether you think this whole Bugsphere thing is a very elaborate hoax, or a lot of people have mentioned that it's been debunked, but my thing is, on Jamie Mason's show, he regularly invites people. He says, if you're a scientist and you think this is fake, come down here. I have not seen anyone physically debunk this in person. And it's pretty bold that on the show, he's pretty open about saying, come down and look at it yourself.
Que el artefacto está aquí físicamente y tú lo tienes. Y cualquier persona y científico puede venir aquí y verlo por él mismo. Y ver y detectar y confirmar las fibras por sí mismo, lo puede hacer aquí mismo in situ. Así es que pues ese también yo hago la invitación, porque yo sé que hay mucha gente que dice o que dicen que eso es un show. No, no lo es.
I'm really hoping to see them just open this thing up. If it's a real thing that they're extremely curious about, they need to just have a drone in a severely large lead chamber out in a blast test zone, remote control that drone with a small tethered wire in that blast chamber, and cut it in half. If it explodes because it's an explosive, it does it in the blast chamber. If it releases a toxic chemical or some kind of virus, it does it in the blast chamber. If it just smoothly cuts open and we get to see what's inside, it's done in the blast chamber. Let's just cut it open. At this point, I just feel like it's a media stunt. But hey, someone in the comments of this video actually has a good point. If it is an alien object and it has fiber optic cables inside of it, that means we're getting kind of close to alien technology. That's a theory to think about. But let me know what you guys think about this whole Bugsphere thing. I've heard that it's been debunked a long time ago, but reading up on it is still an ongoing investigation. So let me know what you guys think.
Is it? Sitting here watching the shadows on the other side. Look at that. What the and I mean, I get myself in the, I'm in the shadow now, right? Obviously you can't see, it's part of these trees are part of it, but that's, got me speechless. I'm dumbfounded. That is cool. It's like diamond, man. You know you're in the right place when you're in the right place, eh? It looks more perfect before, but still, that's trippy.
See, in the world of video games, that's where you would go to dig or find the objective. But really, that actually was a really cool find. That's one of those things that you have to be there at the right time to see it, because you'll probably never see it again if you're not there. So that's pretty neat.
Buddy just sent me this video right here. All I can say is goosebumps on top of goosebumps. Y'all watch this, man. This is gonna get this place shut down.
Okay, so this whole thing had kind of been confusing at parts. A minute ago, I saw her take a video of a rock that was chipping, and it shouldn't chip like that. And then Shakira was over here, and she's beating on this stuff, and we realized that this chip's like a plaster, and it's like a hollow sound compared to the real rock. Look, there's a perfect scene. I mean, that goes all the way up. Like this is placed together, plastered over, and that probably was like painted by giants or some shit.
Okay, so almighty powerful ones, all I ask is when y'all shut this place down for research purposes, just let me and Nick and them come back and check it out. You know what I'm saying? We just want to see the inside. That's all I'm asking. Then I can post it and y'all can all see it.
I feel like I've seen a video fairly similar to that one, if it really wasn't that one there. And I know that there's a lot of countries that kind of utilize fake stones to cover up certain structures, maybe even generators or transformers. I'm not saying that that's the case for this, I'm just saying maybe that's a possibility. But who knows?
Has the multiverse theory now been debunked? Physicists at Hiroshima University have performed what they describe as a more complex technique of the double slit experiment, and that they directly measured a photon being in two places at the same time. No. The double slit experiment is this famous illustration where if you push particles like sand through, you'll get this pattern. But if you push something like water or sound, you'll get this pattern. Photons, which are particles of light, can behave like both. Elementary particles, like photons, are kind of weird and can behave differently based on whether or not we're observing them. When we don't look, it behaves like a wave and in some sense is going through both slits at the same time. When we do look, it makes a decision and picks a slit. The multiverse theory, which is where there are a bunch of universes on top of this one, kind of like in Doctor Strange, is one of the arguments as to where that photon is disappearing off to. These physicists are saying, no, we can observe a photon going through both slits at the same time. It's not leaving the universe.
It's been Palpatine all along.
Grossly summarized, they used a technique called weak measurement, which takes very faint recordings of a photon. They then used a glass plate to twist its polarization, and then measured the results at the exit. Meaning they found a way to identify that the photon was passing through the area, that it never left the universe. The paper is being hotly debated, so I'm sure we'll learn more in the coming months, but for now, this is still as realistic as it was before.
I do not necessarily believe in the multiverse. I've heard some scientists talk about it, well, not in person, but online, highly believe in it, and if what they say is true in this multiverse theory, supposedly in one of these multiverses, I'm a president. And apparently in a different multiverse, they have the cure for cancer. Multiverse theory to me is just a little far out there, because if everything is a possibility in the multiverse, meaning that I'm driven enough in one of these multiverses, if there's infinite amount of multiverses, in one of those multiverses, or probably many, I have figured out how to split the multiverse and travel between them. And if that's the case, then one of myselves from the multiverse should just magically appear right here behind me on this wall. But it doesn't happen, because the multiverse is not infinite if it does exist, and there's still limitations. But to me, it just doesn't exist. It's also science that goes way above my head, so I really don't have no room to talk about it. I'm just theorizing. So let me know your thoughts and theories about it, and if you have any theories of your own, just lay them down in the comments. I really enjoy reading them.
Yale University posted the most cursed book in history to the internet, and it's driving people insane. A 250-page medieval codex written in an unknown language that no one has been able to decipher for over 600 years. But an Egyptologist claims he cracked it and knows exactly what it says. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient book filled with this unknown writing and drawings that suggest it might be some sort of manual for black magic or sorcery. Written sometime between 1404 and 1438 on pages made from calfskin in an indecipherable text that we haven't been able to translate. It's kind of crazy to look at. Like, it obviously says something and has a clear linguistic structure to it, but we just have no idea what any of this means. Everyone has tried to solve it. Mathematicians, computer scientists, linguists, historians, the FBI. Even the cryptographer who famously cracked the German Enigma code, Alan Turing, gave it a shot and failed. Along with the text, the book is filled with cryptic pictures of plants, creatures, astronomy, and naked women in bathtubs. The book is divided into roughly 4 sections: herbal, astrological, balneological, which is the study of the therapeutic use of baths, and pharmacological, medicine. First, the herbal section is filled with diagrams of plants that don't even exist, at least not on Earth, shaped like stars, circles, and other strange growth patterns. Some pages even have weird looking animals on them, like this little seahorse thing nibbling on one of the leaves, and other mythical looking creatures all throughout, thought to be either a botanical guide or some sort of instructions for alchemy, telling the user what plants to use and for what. Then the astrological section gets interesting as the pages fold out and show complex maps of the night sky and potentially even deep space, featuring known constellations like Sagittarius, Pisces, and Aries, but they're just a little bit off from what they're supposed to look like. And there are even some star charts that are completely unknown to us, either just made up or showing us a part of space we're not aware of. Balneological gets weird, featuring naked women in baths and pools in all sorts of odd shapes. Some of the baths even being shaped like a woman's ovaries, with them lounging in their tubes which pour back into the larger tubs. And again, since we have no idea what any of this text is saying, the context can range from anything as innocent as women's hygiene to sacrificial rituals. The final pharmacological section is basically all writing, many pages of thick text assumed to be recipes for medicine or maybe magic potions, all written in the elusive Voynichese language, as it's being called, that still remains a mystery, until people started insisting they solved it. It's kinda like English in that it's written left to right and appears to have 20 to 25 different letters, but the book's history suggests otherwise. The manuscript circulated in relative obscurity since it was written in the 1400s, getting purchased and passed along by emperors and alchemists who saw interest in it. It then disappeared for about 250 years, where we don't know who had possession and what happened to it, and was later brought to popular attention by Polish bookkeeper Wilfrid Voynich in 1912, who rediscovered it and dedicated his life to it, and is where the book gets its name. It was later donated to Yale's manuscript library, where it still physically remains today, and in 20 2020, they published the entire manuscript to their digital library, which you can view yourself. For hundreds of years, no one could figure out what this book was about, but in 2020, German Egyptologist Rainer Hannig claims to have cracked it. His analysis shows us that Voynich is based in a Semitic language, most likely being Hebrew in origin. Nope, don't you dare say it. Cross-referencing Voynich characters with certain Hebrew letters, he managed to translate a few words, followed by full-on sentences. And it says a whole bunch of gibberish. Experts are not convinced this guy solved anything. One of his translations read, "I am a bull ready, which facilitates and renews house and ruins. You are a piece of lamb, which opens the mouth and is discouraged when I." Yeah. This isn't the first time. The Voynich manuscript has claimed to be deciphered dozens of times, and each one just doesn't quite make any sense. More recently, computer scientists at the University of Alberta used AI to help them translate the cryptic text, which also happened to determine that the language is likely Hebrew in origin. They even successfully translated the first sentence in the book, which reads, "She made recommendations to the priest, man of the house, and me and people." Not much better. They insist they're making progress, but clearly it needs a lot of work. Regardless of what it says, many theories around the manuscript speculate what the codex could possibly even be about. Some people think it's just an ancient women's health manual, which looking at it kinda makes sense. I guess the astrological section would have been their zodiac column, right? Others say it was written by an inner circle of philosophers in a code that only they could understand, and the cipher died with them. Or perhaps the final logs by the last standing survivors of a forgotten civilization lost to time, written in their native tongue. Maybe even an alien from another planet who crashed on Earth over 600 years ago, and without any way to get back to his home planet, decided to chronicle his life's work on pages of calfskin. If it is a real language lost to time, it wouldn't even be the first we've ever come across. Like Rongo Rongo, another undeciphered script composed of glyphs discovered on Easter Island. This one's more hieroglyphic-y, but to this day we have no idea what any of this means. But still others say it's just an ancient hoax written by someone in the 1400s as a prank, which I think is more ridiculous than it being written by aliens, but that's just me. Tying it back to medieval occultists like Edward Kelly, who claimed to go into deep trances while communicating with angels, an act historically known as speaking in tongues, or glossolalia, and would write down what the angels told him in their native angel language that no one could read, speak, nor understand, claiming the Voynich manuscript is filled with that writing. But people say a lot of these angel speakers were nothing but scam artists, and this book was just a giant con to get people to believe something and is just literal chicken scratch gibberish. If this really is a hoax, that's some impressive looking fake language right there. I'm gonna stick with aliens. Final answer.
I've always been interested in this Voynich manuscript, and I played a video quite a while back ago now. Someone put a comment down in one of those videos that kind of stuck with me, and they said, what if this book was made to intrigue people as if you are reading it through the eyes of a child that just does not know how to comprehend language, images, but there is meaning behind the book. It's just done in a way that you cannot comprehend because that's the way the artistical design was meant to be. I really like that a lot. It's not an actual language. They're not actual plants or anything. It's all just images that represents things that are real, but to confuse you and to make you not understand what you're looking at or what you're reading because it's just above your comprehension. Just as if you were a child trying to learn or read something and you're not familiar with how to do so. I kind of hope that is what that book is, and it's just a thing that's boggled people for many years. But let me know, do you have any theories, thoughts about this manuscript? I really think it's a cool book. I think the design of it's really neat. The artwork is super cool. Whoever did this a long time ago, props to that person. But let me know your thoughts and theories. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. And with that being said, have a good day.